Arryk and Erryk Cargyll were identical twin brothers in the Kingsguard during the time of King Viserys, and they played a crucial yet heart-wrenching part in the Dance of Dragons. But you know that. It's why you clicked this video. Did you know that the Cargylls have just the lamest sigil in all of Westeros? Described as a golden goose on bendy, sinister black and red. Somehow the image is even lamer than the description. But that doesn't stop Arryk and Erryk from being absolute badasses. In last week's episode of House of the Dragon, we saw what becomes of the two brothers when they are forced to fight to the death. The show and the book, I feel, differ in one key way that makes the ending so much sadder in the book. A personal note is I recently had twins and twin boys, and I think that's why I'm so interested in the Cargylls. So hopefully you find this video interesting and you like the video and subscribe to our channel for more House of the Dragon content. The first time chronologically in the story that we hear about the twins is they're already Kingsguards and they're at the tourney for King Viserys' ascension at Maidenpool. Both of them were unhorsed by Sir Criston Cole in 105 AC, and that Arryk takes many trips with Viserys to Dragonstone throughout the years. The next mention of either brother is that Arryk is the Kingsguard member that catches Daemon, the king's brother, with Princess Rhaenyra, his niece, in bed together. Arryk reports this to the king, and this leads to a fight between the king and Daemon. And then in turn, Daemon leaves King's Landing. While it's very gross, remember that Targaryens married brother to sister and cousins all the time, so still gross, but not something that is taboo, say in the way that Jaime and Cersei were. In the show, a child who is an informant for the Hightowers sees Daemon and Rhaenyra coming out of a brothel, and this is how Viserys finds out about, well, the uncle loving. In 120 AC, Erryk gets appointed to be Rhaenyra's sworn shield, replacing Sir Harwin Strong to stop the rumors about Rhaenyra's sons being bastards of Strong. When tensions get high between Rhaenyra and Alicent's children, and Rhaenyra goes to Dragonstone to take up her seat as heir to the throne, Erryk goes with her. In the show, Erryk stays in King's Landing, and it isn't until King Viserys' death and the twins looking for Aegon that Erryk starts to think that he can't support Aegon or the Greens. What Aegon is doing is horrible, and I understand why the show used this as a tipping point. In the books, at Aegon's coronation, Erryk walks him to the throne room. In the show, it's the Dragon Pit. Aegon uses Aegon the Conqueror's crown rather than his father's. Sir Steffon Darkling in the Kingsguard then steals Viserys' crown and brings it to Dragonstone. In the show, it's Erryk that takes Viserys' crown to Dragonstone, and he decides to join the Blacks. So what is the difference and why do I feel it's more emotional in the books? It's because it wasn't a choice of Erryk or Erryk. It's truly them just doing their duty. Erryk happens to be on Dragonstone, and Erryk happens to be on King's Landing when Viserys dies. That's the only reason they're on opposite sides. The rest of the history we know is from a song written about the brothers called Farewell My Brother, a sad ballad by Lucan of Tarth. The song shares that Erryk was with Grand Master Orwell when he traveled from King's Landing to Dragonstone in an unsuccessful attempt to reconcile the rival Targaryens. In the song, before Erryk boards the ship to return to King's Landing, the brothers try to persuade each other to change sides. When the attempt fails, they exchange declarations of love and part, knowing that the next time they meet, it will be as enemies. It is possible that such a farewell did indeed take place that day on Dragonstone, but there's no historical record mentioning it. We then hear about how Erryk was unhappy that he was being sent to Dragonstone, and while we don't know who he was sent there to kill, whether it was Rhaenyra or one of her children, we know he spent the night before in the Sept praying to the Mother for forgiveness. For this section, I'm going to read directly from the text. For those of you that don't know, the book is written more of like a textbook rather than a novel. So we get accounts from different historical figures. For this, we get an account from Grand Master Munkin. Sir Arryk came ashore without hindrance, donned his armor and white cloak, and had no trouble gaining entrance to the castle in the guise of his twin brother, just as Cole had planned. Deep in the heart of Dragonstone, however, as he was making his way to the royal apartments, the gods brought him face to face with Sir Erryk himself, who knew at once what his brother's presence meant. The singers tell us that Erryk said, "I love you, brother," as he unsheathed his blade, and that Arryk replied, "And I you, brother," as he drew his own. The twins battled for better part of an hour, Grand Master Munkin says. The steel clashed on steel and woke half the queen's court, but the onlookers could only stand by helplessly and watch, for no man could tell which brother was which. In the end, Sir Arryk and Sir Erryk dealt each other mortal wounds, and died in each other's arms with tears upon their cheeks. In the show, Erryk is told that his brother has snuck into Dragonstone, and the dramatic fight happens in front of Rhaenyra. While certainly more fun from a visual standpoint, there are different views on who is king and queen makes it feel less sad. They ramped it up by having Erryk mortally wound himself after the battle, as in Westeros, no one is as cursed as a kinslayer. We don't ever get the Cargylls' family words, but if I had to write them, I would take the Tully words and rearrange the order: duty, honor, family. Now, earlier in the video, I said that in the story, the chronological order, but from a reader's perspective, we heard about the twins several times in House Cargyll more than once. In Game of Thrones, Bran Stark recalls a story of several legendary members of the King's Guards, including the twins Erryk and Erryk, and how they killed each other during the Dance of Dragons. In Clash of Kings, when King Joffrey Baratheon chides his brother Tommen for crying, Sansa says that the twins Arryk and Erryk died with tears on their cheeks after they had mortally wounded each other. In A Storm of Swords, Sansa encounters Lady Olenna Tyrell's personal guard. The Queen of Thorns calls them left and right, but the twins' names are actually Erryk and Erryk, who are evidently named after the legendary King's Guardsmen. In Feast for Crows, Queen Cersei thinks that if Sir Loras Tyrell returns from the siege of Dragonstone, she will send him to deal with Bronn at Stokeworth. She hopes that each of them will kill each other, like Sir Arryk and Sir Erryk. Finally, the last mention of the Cargyll family was in The Hedge Knight. Sir Clarence Cargyll participated in the tourney at Ashford Meadow in 209 AC. His arms were spotted by Sir Duncan the Tall, but Clarence Cargyll was the last we've heard of the family, and now they are registered as extinct, so there is no one left from their family and their bloodline. Thanks for watching this video. It was a fun but sad one to make. Hopefully people are still interested in the brothers, although their story is now over in the show. Right now there should be a video about 2 different dragon seeds on your screen, one for Hugh Hammer and the other for Addam Velaryon. Well, that's it from me. Take it easy, YouTube.